Welcome back. Filling up today was not fun, and experts say you can't just chalk it up to the official kickoff of the summer driving season. Gas prices are approaching $3 a gallon, up 25% from last year, the highest since 2014. So what has changed? President Trump ripping up the Iran nuclear deal, which includes access to Iranian crude, a possible trade war with China, or what? Joining us for more are Kristen Zaborski, an economics professor at State College, Jerry Zivick, our own ABC7 consumer watchdog, and Rosenda Callaway of AAA. Thank you for joining us all. Let me start with you and just describe to us the range of gas prices in the Suncoast right now.
Oh, the range is, right now you're looking at the most expensive is West Palm Beach, and it hit $291. And the least expensive is in Punta Gorda, in our backyard. So with just that fluctuation of gas prices, who knows? The retail, when do they buy? As we were just talking about this in the green room, is when they bought the gas, when the retailer bought the gas, is that setting the price for the gas station. So that fluctuation is there, and hopefully it's going to go down. We're predicting 10 cents. It'll be going down at max. But how long will it stay down?
All right, we're going to put a little graphic up on the screen right there that shows the price of gas going back to 2014, and you could see starting in 2016, it started going back up rather steadily. And Kristen, how do you account for it? It's very easy to say, we backed out of the Iran nuclear deal, and the Iranian oil was now, up until now was going into the market, bringing down the price. The president, even before he was president, talked about getting out of the Iran nuclear deal. So what impact did that have?
Well, we have to think about the largest and the most powerful cartel in the world, OPEC, which is Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries. Iran is a member of that. Venezuela is a member of that. And their goal is twofold: restrict oil output and to maintain a high price and to keep prices high. And so if we think about Iran and the sanctions, that can dwindle their oil supply, their oil output, which can further put upward pressure on prices. And of course, Venezuela, their economy is just absolutely tanking right now. And so whether or not they're a contributing factor is certainly debatable. But Iran is a big player in OPEC.
And Jerry, you said in our story that geopolitical events often have an impact on gas prices and oil prices, but you believe that there is more at play here. What do you mean by that?
Well, there has to be, because for years we had an embargo that domestic shale oil could not be exported. Then that expired in 2015. So who's making all the money? You have gas companies that are having record profits now. And where is this money going? Are they buying back stock? Is it going for exploration for future profits? Is it going to corporate salaries? So they're making record profits, so why are our gas prices going up? It doesn't make sense. Plus, I think you talked about 2016, they started to creep up. I think there was a change in administrations, and I think a lot of gas pricing is based upon futures trading. And the futures traders were thinking that now we have an unsettling situation in the world, and they were bidding up the price of gas. So I think that's one of the reasons it went up as well.
Rosenda, we talk about whether or not higher gas prices impact how much we drive, whether we take the car on summer vacation. Do we have hard figures or information whether that is in fact true, that people actually scale back?
Well, they do scale back. The distances that they're going to drive, they can scale back on. How much you're going to spend on the hotel, how much you're going to spend on food. What you're going to find are people that are going to be traveling by car. It's still going to be more economical for a family of four to drive than get in an airplane. So they are going to drive. It's just the distances. Will they go to Orlando or will they go to New York? So they're still going to travel. We're travelers. We're Americans, and we're going to get in our car and we're going to go.
Okay. We are just getting warmed up. We'll have much more right after we check the first alert weather, so stay with us. Welcome back. We are talking about the skyrocketing price of gasoline, and joining us for more are Kristen Zaborski, an economics professor at State College, Jerry Zivick, our own ABC7 consumer watchdog, and Rosenda Callaway of AAA. And Kristen, let me start with you, because we're talking about there are a variety of impacts that have an effect on oil. We also hear about China. Today, we're reimposing $50 billion in tariffs on China. Does that have any impact? I know that China is a huge, maybe the hugest market out there, and and it's getting bigger every year.
Well, the two main oil benchmarks are the West Texas Intermediate and also the Brent, which is the North Shore for Europe. So that affects global prices. And so Brent definitely has an impact with China.
How?
But the West Texas doesn't. Because it's all sort of filtered into the same mechanism of supply and demand. And if we think about China's consumers, if we think about how their economy has certainly been boosted over the past decade, more of their consumers are driving, and so there goes the demand for fuel, for gas, and so that really ties into the whole supply and demand factor.
And Rosenda, what we see here domestically is that there is a difference between how much gas costs here, or in North Carolina, New York, or California. And I'm aware, obviously different states have tax gas at different rates. There are also other states that require different kind of blends, like California.
Correct.
What impact does this have?
Well, it definitely has an impact on the cost of our fuel, period. It does, because we're going into the summer months, and so they're going to have to shift from the winter blend of gases we were talking about into the summer blend, and we have to wait for that. So it is going to cost a little bit more, and we're going to see the increases. Everything is impacted by, as you said, it's going back to the consumer on the costs, the blends, everything that.
So when you, every time we do one of these stories, we have our faithful viewers write in and just say, it goes up every summer.
Yeah.
Is this true? I mean, it is true,
Well,
but
it
is it
is.
the only cause?
No, it's not the only cause. There are so many factors involved with the gas. Everything that, to me, everything that happens in the world, no matter what happens, is going to affect our fuel costs. And especially with the summer coming and people are going to be traveling. So again, it goes back to that supply and demand. And so it does affect it. It is going to go up, logically, but we're going to see it go up again. We're going to see it go down for a little bit for the summer, but how long is going to be, anyone's guess.
Jerry, we have a little bit of a surprise for you. I think we're going to be putting up on the screen some video taken maybe a couple of years ago. Yeah, those are lower gas prices here, something that we could live on, not exactly the 32 cents a gallon that you were talking about in your college days. But your question, correct me if I'm wrong, is, look, these large corporations, have gotten a huge tax breaks. Why aren't they passing it along to us consumers?
Well, it makes no sense to me. Basically, what they're doing, they're probably rewarding their shareholders with better dividends or corporate salaries. It's not something that the consumer is really benefiting from. They have, and what's happening is the tax break that the average worker is getting, a lot of it is being eaten up by the higher price of gas. So there's not a real lot of gain for the average person.
Chris, and that is being written about a lot, that we got this tax break going into this year, but between gas prices increasing and health care insurance premiums going up, it's really eating up a lot of what we were promised in terms of relief.
It is. I mean, and it sort of brings back, does trickle-down economics really work? In theory, but you have to make it work. It has to go from the top down, and we're just not seeing that with these corporations. So you said probably probably it is going back to the shareholders for sure. And that extra cost, 9 times out of 10, gets pushed onto the consumer, not the producer.
And how can the consumer's voice be heard then? As you're telling the viewers this, how can it be heard?
Because my next question to you, Jerry, is who has our backs in terms of at the government level, in terms of in a storm? If we have a hurricane, we have the Attorney General saying the big companies are basically spiking the prices on this. Is there any part of government that is trying to have the consumers back and say, look, we're suspicious of the reasons why these prices are going up?
We were actually talking about that before the show. And we were talking about how many times gas prices spike. You have the leaders of Congress get out there and beat their chests. We're going to do an investigation about why gas prices are spiking. And I searched for hours looking for one report that made a determination from 2005 forward. I couldn't find one. I'm not saying there's not one there, but I could not, they're not easy to find if there's a report.
Public, yeah.
So our government, in my opinion, really does not have our back on this.
Rosenda, do you have any information in terms of how prices have fluctuated specifically not only on the Suncoast, but also here in the rest of the state over
Oh, yes.
the last year or two.
It has gone up, definitely. It went up, it went down, and now it's going back up again. But it is definitely affecting all of the United States. You look at the average unleaded gas prices at $2.91 a gallon right now, and that is definitely affecting it. But we're not here. We've topped out at $2.63. But my thing, when you said about the who's got the consumers back. What can we do? I just want to know, because we're sitting here at AAA and we've got our consumers back in terms of being able to notify them where the gas prices are lowest. We encourage people to go on to AAA.com, download the app, and we search every single day. We're finding the gas prices in no matter what area that we cover. We're going to let them know where the lowest gas prices is at a local gas station.
I think consumers like to complain about it, but
Yeah.
the actions that consumers can take, they're not taking.
Such as?
So you have...
That's work.
Pardon?
It's
Well,
work.
Yeah, well, but we had the,
But isn't it
the
worth it?
shortage back in 2008. Everybody gave up their big SUVs. And now you have one major car company is no longer going to make sedans. They're only going to sell SUVs. So consumers forgot. They have a very short memory that gas can go up. And now they're sitting on their SUVs. And are they going to trade their SUVs in for sedans? Probably not, because they've lost value on the SUV.
Kristen, at what point does our economy overall start to be impacted by this? How high do gas prices have to go in order to bring consumer spending down in other areas?
It's not a specific number like $3 a gallon or $4 a number, or $4 a gallon, excuse me. Eventually, we were talking about this earlier. Regardless of what the price is, there really are no close substitutes for it, unless there's really good public transportation. We still have to...
This is Florida, by the way.
Yeah.
We don't do good public transportation.
We don't excel in that. We still have to drive to work. We still have to get to school. We have to pick up the kids. So, we're going to complain about it, but we're just going to have to make some cuts in other areas.
But do you see them? Because I think that we're a society of adaptable people. As you said, if it goes up to $3, we're going to find other ways. We're going to not eat out for lunch. Let's say commuting to school, we're not going to eat out for lunch.
And we'll have to leave it there. But I want to thank you all for being here tonight. And FYI, you can watch past discussions on demand. They're available on Apple TV, Amazon Fire, and Roku. We want to thank our guests for being here tonight. Kristen Zaborski is an economics professor at State College, Jerry Zivick, our own ABC7 consumer watchdog, and Rosenda Calloway of AAA.